Hey, what's up, guys? It's Eric with Plugged In Recovery. This week, we are going to be starting a brand new series where we check in with alumni of our program and see how they've been and what their recovery looks like since moving out of the house. And our inaugural guest is Tara. She was a great resident of ours earlier this year, and a lot of exciting stuff has been happening in her life since she moved out, and we're going to check in and see how things are going. Tara, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Eric. I'm Tara. My sobriety date was almost 18 months ago, so June 23rd of 2022. And then I was at the Plugged In house for about 4.5, 5 months.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know when you moved in, it was earlier this year, you were kind of in your back half of your sober living stay, getting ready to take that next step. Let's just touch briefly on what life was like when you were at the house, and how did Plugged In help you get to eventually moving out?
Yeah, Plugged In helped me probably more than any other sober living with moving out. I mean, you guys just provided so many resources, so much support, so much encouragement. It really made me feel like I was ready to take that leap, because it is kind of scary to leave that little comfort zone, like nest of sober living, and, you know, spread your wings and fly out in the real world sometimes. So yeah, like the people that, you know, you guys have working in the houses, or not working in the houses, but like working with the houses, definitely helped me with resources as far as, like, you know, anything from making extra money to pay for deposits, like different jobs I could do, you know, definitely different like places I could move into, like just so many things that you guys were just so like ready and willing to help with, that definitely made me feel like I was able to, you know, have that support. And as I said, take that next step. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
And a big part of like sober living is that structure. You're required to go to a certain amount of meetings a week and be working with a sponsor and like doing a chore. How has that structure of the house helped you after moving out?
Oh my God. I say that sober living like made me grow the heck up, like finally at like the age of 35, because like I do the chores every day, like the house is clean, right? Like it's not like, oh, I'm going to do that chore later. Like it really did help me with that accountability even after I moved out. And that's something I was like, don't let your cleaning and like your dishes and all of that stuff like fall to the wayside. When you move out, like keep up with that stuff and like hold yourself accountable. So like I'm able to do that. And, you know, my fiance spent a lot of time in sober living too. And so like we both kind of brought those skills into our home now that we have. And then, yeah, you know, like that accountability and the structure with just my everyday life helps me tremendously. If I'm, you know, like any addict, if I'm left to my own devices, it's like not great. So like keeping that routine, keeping that schedule, keeping my same meetings, continuing to work with others and work with sponsees and stay plugged into the program, like has definitely helped for sure.
Love that. And you just mentioned it too, fiance. That is a new development. That's happened since you moved out of the house. How has just the skills you've learned in recovery help you be a better partner and take that next step in your relationship?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Relationships are hard. You know, you can do like all of this work on yourself, right? And like feel like you're this better person and like you're handling situations better and the promises are coming true for you in a lot of aspects. But then when you add another person into the mix, it provides a whole other set of challenges, and, you know, interacting with that person and all of their perceptions and their, you know, like past experiences and, you know, just personalities, right? So it's definitely helped me though in being a better person and a better partner, because I'm not constantly thinking about myself anymore and like me, like what do I need out of this relationship? What do I need from this person? Like I'm more focused on what I can give. And that's kind of a beautiful thing, because then that giving just flows. And like something that I love about him is that he is just as committed to this, like the program and doing better and being a better person every single day, just like I am. So that's what we try to do in our relationship too.
That's super great to hear, and I know your partner was with us for a brief amount of time as well. So
briefly, sorry about that.
Very briefly, but we were happy to have him when he was with us. And I know a big part of what your goals were when you were in our houses, and you've been making big strides on that since moving out, is just regaining that relationship with your son and doing all of that kind of stuff. How did your stay in the house kind of help you get set up to eventually take that next step with
Oh
that?
my gosh. Yeah. So again, like with growing up and like learning how to be a responsible adult, I mean, that's something that's crucial when you have a small child that's relying on you too, and you have all of that responsibility. So taking that time to take care of myself and put my needs first so that I could be a better mother to him was crucial. It was really hard, really hard to just have visitation every week. But, yeah, we've been making really great progress. And now that I have my own home and, things are really good and, everything's just like really stable, I feel like I have this beautiful life for him to come back to. And that's like the best gift ever. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Now, I did want to touch on this too, because what we see a lot is when you move out of sober living, it's very easy to let your program kind of phase out as
Yeah.
you start getting busy with like work and family and all these other things. But I've seen you around, like you still have the same home group. You're still involved with a lot of the females that are currently in our houses. How are you maintaining that part of your program since moving out?
Yeah, so you're right. Like it absolutely would be easy now that I don't have all these requirements to kind of let that stuff fall by the wayside. But to me, it was never about them being requirements. I tried to reframe my thinking from the get-go that like I get to go to these meetings, I get to be involved. If I'm not putting my recovery first, I don't have any of those other things in my life. You know what I mean? Like I've been given so many amazing gifts in this program and I just never want to lose any of them. And I want to help others find these gifts too. I feel like God has really given me a purpose with that, like for the first time in my life. So for me, like it's pretty easy to still stay plugged in. Like I love our home group. I love my other home group. I have two. And I love all of my sponsees. I love doing H&Is. I love giving back. So as long as I'm just, like continually thinking of others, I think I kind of touched on that too. Like it's a little bit easier than I thought it would be. Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
that's awesome. And we're super
Yeah.
happy to see it. And we hope you stick around with us.
Thank you.
Tara is really a good leader for all the females in
Aw.
our program to this day. And we are grateful for that.
Oh, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank you. I did want to ask, what do you think is the biggest lesson or skill you learned from your entire stay in sober living that you use on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think that it is really what we've kind of touched on already, just like the responsibility that I learned. I was, I feel really lucky that I was given the environment of sober living to kind of, mess up a little bit and like learn what works for me, what doesn't. I've had a couple different jobs, trying stuff like that out because I didn't have as many like financial responsibilities I could afford to kind of mess up and figure things out. And now that like I've found things that work for me, it was really a good opportunity to just kind of experiment with life. And as I said, like become an adult for the first time and pay my own bills and ease into like the real world again, which, when I came into recovery and I came into sober living, I had absolutely nothing. I didn't have a job. I hadn't been employed or employable in over a year. Like I didn't have a car. I didn't have my son. I didn't have, a lot of things that sober living gave me like a really good opportunity to earn all of that stuff back and figure out how to do life as a productive person. Yeah.
That's awesome. We're
Yeah.
super happy to hear it.
Thank you.
As we wrap up here, this is something that we ask everyone who's on our little mini pods that we do.
Yeah.
For anyone watching that might be on the fence about sober living, maybe they're coming off of a relapse, having a hard time coming back, or they're just struggling in early sobriety. Do you have any words of encouragement or advice for them?
Yeah, definitely. The best thing that you can do is take the leap and put yourself first. I was very hesitant about going into sober living at the beginning, and I entered in with all these expectations, right? And these kind of prejudices, I guess. So just keeping an open mind has been huge for me, like letting go of current expectations a little bit and letting God take the wheel and understanding that like God's got this and the universe has got this. And if this is the path, then it will work out for you. And just having that faith has been just huge for me. And sometimes I think we can be resistant to that, right? But if God is providing that path, I would say go for it. Absolutely.
Great advice. Thank you so much. And thank you for stopping by and kind of doing this with us. And I'm sure maybe we'll check in down the road again and see how things are going. But we just want to say thank you for everything you do for Plugged In, and, you know, congratulations on everything happening in your life.
Thank you. I really
That's super
appreciate
exciting.
that.
Real
Yeah.
quick, before we wrap up, it is the holiday season. What's one thing you're grateful for?
Oh my gosh. So many things, right? And that's crazy. My life is so different today. Um, I am really grateful for the fact that like I am able to provide a really good Christmas for my fiance and my loved ones and my son, and I cannot wait to see the looks on their faces when I give them their gifts. I love gift giving, so
That's awesome. I'm one of those people that I'm like, I'll buy someone something and then give it to them like 2 weeks before. Yeah. So hopefully you hold out and you can wait for Christmas.
My best. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I'm like, look what I got you. Just act surprised later on.
Right?
Well, thank you so much, Tara. Again, congratulations.
Yeah,
and for you guys, we will see you next week.